Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Class with Kate, where I take you to school on all things restoring relationships. I just got back from a week break with my family, my husband's family, for Thanksgiving, and I was thinking about you guys, and I was like, oh, to be a fly on the wall, hearing about what's all that's going on. And I hope it was okay, though. I hope you guys had it was okay. I'm going to jump in today with what we're going to talk about, which is fighting is normal. Big emotions are normal. The lack of repair is not. Fighting is normal. Your dad being all angry at the dinner table, huffing and puffing, fine. That's normal. Everybody can have emotions, really. You can even take it as far as going on Oprah's podcast with a lot of other estranged adults and talk about your point of view. Fine. The lack of repair is not normal. The lack of conflict resolution skills, not normal. It's like there's never a punchline to the joke. That's why it's hard. That's hard. It's so hard on the body. When you think about a joke, a comic, they're like telling a story, they're building it up, and then there's the punchline that makes you get relief from all the tension that you've built up in your body. And there's not that in dysfunctional families. There's not that in estrangement. There's from estranged parents. You can get that on your own, yes, and you can get that in the relationship in some ways, but over Thanksgiving break, if your body is still in fight or flight, if you're in recovery mode, that is because you did not learn the skills that your parasympathetic nervous system needs to return to a calm baseline. Your baseline's up here. So that's what we're going to kind of get into all today. Side note, something so fun. I just went on TikTok live. I've actually done that once before, and I wanted to I couldn't even look at myself because I was like, well, what am I doing here? I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't even know what I'm doing. But as you guys know, I am moving more towards streaming. And so every Tuesday and Thursday morning for an hour and a half, starting in January, every Tuesday and Thursday morning, 10 o'clock Central to 11:30 a.m. Central, I'm going to be live on different streaming platforms. So like Twitch, I think you can do Facebook Live, Instagram Live, TikTok Live. So I'm going to be doing that every Tuesday and Thursday. It's going to be Class with Kate. I'm not going to do formal classes where you sign up and you pay and there's all these millions of steps and there's only a certain amount of people. That just doesn't necessarily fully align with my values, which is free and accessible education for all. So I'm going to be doing that starting in January. And so I was warming up. I was like, Kate, let's try it out. So I went on TikTok Live today and I did my makeup. Also because when I've looked at myself in this nice camera, you can see everything. And I've seen in my podcasts, where my winged eyeliner is only on one side, because I film these in the afternoon sometimes after I've had a day and I've been wiping my face and all that stuff. So I was like, Kate, for some accountability for you to look in the mirror before you do a podcast and to just engage with people and to get used to streaming, we're gonna do a live. And we got on TikTok. It was super fun. I got to connect with people. We talked a little bit about Oprah's thing on estrangement and my raw feelings about that stuff. I'm not going to put in a class or recording. So I know people can record it on TikTok Live. I obviously didn't say, I don't feel anything outside of the lines anyway, but I'm going to start doing that every Tuesday and Thursday. And I think because of the makeup situation, it was really fun to do this. I'm going to hold everybody who's watching me accountable to me having good makeup. And, I'm a mom. I'm going to wear these same sweatshirt clothes, my hair, whatever. Someone commented and they were like, your baby hairs are growing out so well. And I was like, this is why I love people, because we can talk about whatever. This is why I love live. And so anyway, that was really fun. And I'm thinking Tuesday and Thursdays, I'll get on TikTok Live and do my makeup. And again, so that you guys can not let it slide something crazy. Because again, it's the camera's fault. I mean, I'm looking at stuff about myself I've never seen before. So that's fun. That's the fun part about being online. But anyway, so that's coming up in January. Very, very fun. You guys know I'm obviously ready to get going now. You might see me on Tuesday morning, actually, live. And if that's the case, that would be really fun because I think this is feeling good. All of it's going to come together. That's where I'm going to do my call-in show too. So the calls are going to be live on air on the show. And interestingly, I think that's going to take the pressure off of me because I've done some recorded calls. You guys know I lost them, but I was feeling pressure to like get to some magical insight. And I think what's more interesting is kind of the live, like exploratory discover process. We might come to something, we might not. And that's how therapy sessions go. That's like, I will not let myself feel pressure, like performance anxiety. And that is just, there's a magic element to that. And so I think there will be something very special about this show. It's going to be Class with Kate, same old shit. And that's going to be starting in January. You know, I'm still going to, it's nothing different than what I'm doing right now, but it'll just be live. And I'll probably there's like a Q&A, you know, people can engage on live. And so you can comment in real time. And I think that's fun. Eventually, I feel like I want to get to a point where like an estranged parent calls in or something that hates my guts and we talk it out. I don't know. But that's what I'm feeling. And maybe as a listener, you're like, yeah, I thought that's what you were doing. But in my mind, it just became organized. So that's what's coming up. There's 3 weeks between now and Christmas break. And what I really want to hit home is validation, how to emotionally regulate, how to reframe some experiences, how to learn from what happened at Thanksgiving if you're seeing the same family at Christmas. Because what I want to happen ultimately, and this is with all of my content, is that you become a healthy person regardless. That if you watched Oprah's podcast about estrangement and you were so triggered and it was so rage baity for you, because like I said, I was on vacation and I was messaging with Allie, my assistant / handler, and she was like, Kate, don't watch it. It's like total rage bait. It will be very upsetting. There's a male panelist on there, Joshua Coleman, who, if you're new to the estrangement conversation, he has written a book called Rules of Estrangement. And for some parents, it offers hope for reconciliation. For estranged adult children, it can be very invalidating. And so anyway, people said that the male panelist was very upsetting. So that was him on there. I haven't heard a lot of positive things about him from people that have had experiences with him. So not to like tell you how to feel or think ever about it, but just to kind of warn you that that's been a common experience that I've heard in listening to just him. And, you know, so for me, part of that, and this is what I said on the live, I'll briefly cover it. I might cover it in a TikTok video. I'm sure I will gather the words the more I reflect on it and see more about it. But here is an option for you. You actually don't have to care. You actually don't have to care. And Oprah doing this does not mean that your experience is invalid. And it doesn't mean that your estranged parents' experience is worth a show. Keep in mind that Oprah is there to like shed light on things, but also make money and views. And everybody's going to be cashing in on this conversation. You know, as we all see, people are obsessed with relationships. People leave their professions to become relationship experts, even though they have absolutely no training or expertise. And not to say that coaches and, you know, people don't have good points of view, but in terms of helping people get from A to Z, you know, there's training involved. People are very fragile and vulnerable. And how do you know, so, and, there's so much to say. I don't want to be somebody that like invalidates a coach, because I think it's great. People that don't have the privilege of going to school or the opportunity for whatever reason can make meaning and purpose of their experience and help other people. I think there's so much to say about, I think it's badass that people become coaches. I really do. Like my background is very much a like go-getter, self-taught, self-driven, self-made mentality. And I have a lot of respect for those people. And it's just important to understand that it's just not everything, and you're allowed to just say whatever to it. Because again, Oprah and all these people, they're trying to make money and they're trying to get views. Oh, that's what I was saying. People leave their professions to become relationship experts because that's the biggest need. People don't know what to do. And so the need is valid. People saying things are entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to their space. And so just all to say, because of that, you can be very vulnerable to this information. And so just to tell you that just because someone's on a screen or on Oprah, it doesn't mean their point of view is any more valid. Like, it just doesn't mean that. And you have the right not to care. That's assertiveness 101. Like, oh, someone's kicking and screaming over there. My parents kicking and screaming. Okay. They're allowed to do that. They're allowed to have an emotional experience. They're allowed to have a point of view that is wrong and hurtful. Like, okay. So how do we manually calm down if our body feels lit up by that? When you grow up in these families, dysfunctional families thrive off of conflict and no repair, because conflict is how people actually feel their feelings. Like, you go to Thanksgiving and you're already stressed. You're almost like subconsciously hoping for a fight or for some relief of this tension that you feel inside. And so someone not getting something right, needing to control something, needing to drink too much, needing to shut down and isolate and be on your phone. That's your body's way of that's the loop that you go into. The problem with that is that it gives you an illusion of relief. It's not real relief. It's not, scrolling on your phone is not resolution. It's not thinking through what is happening. It's not tapping and bringing some awareness to your physical experience. It's avoiding, distracting, or, here's another one, is ruminating. Last year around Mother's Day, so I've started posting about estrangement. And again, my story is thinking I could just be helpful and offer information. Because I saw some stuff about estranged parents. And so I was like, oh yeah, I've experienced with this. Like, let me talk it through. And I got, railed immediately. But point being, I started posting about it, I think a month before Mother's Day. And on Mother's Day, like, my social media was never more active because of both estranged parents and estranged adult children. Like, it's a stressful day in that phase, time of things. And so people, they're feeling a lot of anxiety, they're feeling a lot of grief, they're feeling a lot of things, and also feeling powerless and out of control. So what do you do to feel powerful and in control? You get online, debate people, troll people. And, that was the day that people were through the roof. And I actually made a video a couple of days later about ruminating, and people were like, oh, is that what I was doing on Mother's Day? I was like, yeah, that's what you learn to do. You never learn to get relief from your anxiety and what that actually looks like. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I just want to make sure you guys are okay from a physical, emotional standpoint to enjoy and get actual rest this holiday, and to not be a situation that you need to recover from, because that's what it can be like. It can be like, oh, I'm going to my, family's house for 3 days, for 5 days. I'm going to need, 10 days to recover. Because recovery is important. Like, slowing down is important. We can't just like constantly be in this higher baseline, which is how you grew up, this higher baseline, and never get a break and never get rest. That's how, I've said it a million times, that's how health issues happen. It's your body just being on overdrive, overheated, like your computer overheating, like it's gonna explode. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna implode or it's gonna explode. And so we're gonna go through, I don't know, maybe a scenario. I did a podcast with Whitney Goodman the other day where she went through a scene from The Bear. And I think this is coming out on December 9th, so next week. But we did an episode on The Bear, this like dinner they have. I think it's over the holiday. And how it just gets explosive. And the scene is just about how everyone's, let's set the scene. It's people dealing with their anxiety in all sorts of ways, avoiding, over helping, over nurturing. And it ends in this like disaster. And that's because people don't know how to validate and go through their emotions. So let me first say because we're going to get into bend, we're going to get into a scenario. And I want to say that this bend is something you can do on your own. And as you guys know, bend is my emotional processing tool to help reframe some things and validate yourself and like meet your needs. So bend can be done alone, but it's really important to do this with your spouse, with your partner. In my defensiveness class, I was like, when I'm talking with more and more people, I like forget what people don't know. Coming from my clinical point of view, coming from like just really meeting with therapy clients, and like me and my clients are connected, we're on the same page. There's a shared vocabulary to social media and like classes where we don't have that foundation. I forget what people don't know that's foundational. And one of those things is that emotions are supposed to be talked about all of the time. I used this expression like, your household should be emotion palooza every day. Your relationship should be emotion palooza every day. I went to this thing, you guys know I live in Dallas, Texas, and I went to this thing called Panda Fest a couple weeks ago, and it was this like festival that was like panda themed. So you got a panda headband, you got like, there was panda stuff everywhere. There's a lot of Asian food. It was just like so fun. Everyone was dressed to the nines about it. It was really, really fun. But anyway, I was like, Panda Fest, that's what it was called. Your relationship needs to be emotion fest. Like, that's how much we're talking about it. That's how much transparency is needed. Emotions are the foundation of everything relational. And when it comes to you waking up in the morning and feeling off, like that's definitely something to be transparent about. That's definitely not something to deal with about on your own. It might seem minor to you. Oh, I'm just thinking about work and this one issue. Oh, I'm just thinking about this and this. Emotional transparency builds trust and is part of the physical relief you will experience with what we're trying to get to. I want to get you to a physical sense of relief. And this concept is called name it to tame it. Okay? Name it to tame it. This is a neurological process that a guy named Dan Siegel came up with. Little phrases like this are helpful. Like, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Like, name it to tame it. That's what this is. It's a little tool in your mind to help you remember what you need to do when you're overwhelmed. Okay? But going back to Emotions Fest, Emotion Palooza, you guys, I'm sure, will come up with more creative names that I hope you will share with me. But name it to tame it. You wake up in the morning, you're thinking about your boss, you're thinking about your kids. To me, let's see, here's for me, it's winter time, it's cold. I'm like in the morning, like, okay, what does my daughter need to wear today to be cold, or to be warm? Does she have those clothes? What do I need to wash? Like, the mental load, basically, the emotional load. Name it to tame it. When all of these little things build up in your mind, it's going to create overwhelm, overload to the system. And so that's where name it to tame it comes in. Every morning, and I tell people to do this with also a hate list. You're just naming all the little things that are on your mind. That's what you're doing with yourself and to your partner. This is an and situation. Because the point of relationships is not to do things solo. Now, we don't want to be codependent where We can't solve these things on our own. We have to tell somebody for us to be okay, for us to use their body to regulate us, for them to validate us. Like if we need to hear a voice of you're okay, that is, to me, indicative of a major issue of emotional neglect in your upbringing, because your parents doing this for you is going to internalize that voice. That's why parenting is literally everything, because you're not just developing someone's behavior, you're developing their inner world. And so when someone is codependent and they can't regulate, they cannot self-regulate on their own, that to me, again, points to emotional neglect and probably abuse in childhood, and the need to reparent. So the need for you, if that's you, is to learn an internal dialogue of like you, adult you, comforting your childhood you. So in this moment, it can be really helpful. People, y'all have probably seen this online, getting a picture of your child self. Yeah. So if like you're super intellectual and you don't know how to regulate, and you're learning bend, you're learning name it to tame it, and you don't really know how to do this in real time. When you're overwhelmed, when you're ruminating, take out that picture of yourself and say what you think that kid needs to hear. If you were that kid's parent, which you are, and you're learning all this validation, what do you feel? What do you need? Like, can you do that with yourself? So that's number one, is can you do that with yourself? And can you do this with your partner? Can you do this for them? And can they do this for you? So that's the interdependency we're talking about. So there, you guys know there's a spectrum of codependency, hyper-independency, which is, I can only do this by myself. I can't be vulnerable with other people. And interestingly, people usually swing from codependent to hyper independent. It's an either or situation, where interdependent is being able to self-regulate and co-regulate. And get that back. So it's a whole thing. But the bottom line is the neurological process of overwhelm, which manifests itself in unwanted behavior. I really want you guys to remember that. Unwanted behavior is just emotional overwhelm. Think about a little kid. When they are yelling, when they're hitting, the underlying emotion is 100% of the time overwhelm. They don't know what to do. So it's emotional overwhelm, and two, the need for help or support or acceptance or reassurance, So anyway, we'll get to that in a second, but name it to tame it is the neurological tool where if you say in that moment, you yell, you snap, or huffing and puffing, walking all over the house, pausing for a second and being like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Like you're noticing the behavior. Here we go, bend. You're noticing the unwanted behavior. Okay, I'm snapping, I'm yelling, I'm doing this. I'm overwhelmed. When you do that, your body will calm down. This is part of the brake system of your car. The gas is the anxiety. The gas is the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. It's gearing you up for something. And if you don't know how to release it, if you don't know how to take your foot off the gas and onto the brake, you are in a drama triangle. Drama versus problem solving. If you grew up in a dysfunctional family where you were emotionally neglected, you go to Thanksgiving and your dad is angry. The problem is he's not angry. He can be angry. And you can sit there and say, okay, dad can be angry and I can be okay. Dad can be angry and I can be okay. Dad being angry is not necessarily drama. The part that's drama is that he doesn't know how to self-regulate. And guess what? That's not your job as an adult. You don't get to save your dad. You don't have to. You can worry about yourself. And And even better, you can say, Dad, what the hell is going on? What do you need? What do you need? Like, you're huffing and puffing. What do you need? You can do that too. You can speak up and have a voice too. Okay? So should I bring in my other thing too? Yeah, why not? You guys know attachment. Attachment is my dad is mad and I have to rescue him or I'm shutting down. Codependency or hyper independence. Okay? Detachment is my dad can be mad and I'm just going to sit here and take care of myself. Maybe take space. I'm feeling overwhelmed by it. I need space. I want this to be a good time. I don't want to escalate. I don't want to confront. I don't feel like I'm in the place to do that. Okay. So I'm going to just take care of myself. That's the skill missing in attachment. You don't know how to reparent yourself. You don't know how to take that picture out of your inner child and be like, man, I'm so sad for my 10-year-old self right now. That this is bullshit that my dad is doing this and I had to live with this my whole life as a little kid. That's bullshit. Going from attachment to detachment, this process of reparenting is big letter G, grief. So anger, sadness, what is it? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And they're not in that order. That's what a lot of people are in. So you have to feel this stuff. Your dad is mad. You're learning to detach, being like, you know what? My dad can be mad. Him. This is bullshit. I should have never had to deal with this. I should have never dealt with this. What is my behavior that comes out in this moment? That's my attachment behavior, my like conditioned role that I've been doing my whole life. Do I shut down? Do I rescue? Do I just sit there on my phone? Like, what is this unwanted behavior that's not helpful in relationships in general? Who cares about him? But what do actually I want to do right now? So you never learn how to do that because you only, in a family, and you're the kid, everything feels personal unless the parent helps you do this. Unless they say, hold on, sweetheart, like I'm angry for a second. I need to figure out what I need. It's nothing about you. I love you. That's what they should have done. Yeah. So here's the hint. Going from attachment to detachment and reparenting is like, sweetheart, you are safe. You are okay. And if you don't feel that way, what do you need to get safe? Do you need a break? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Let's go to the bathroom. Come here. Hold my hand. Come here, sweetheart. I got you. It's okay. I see you. You're valid. Let's take some breaths. Okay. Let's figure out what we need. You're not too much. You haven't done anything wrong. And I'm here. I'm here for you. You're not alone. And you're valid. This is going to make me cry thinking about it. Because I think about you guys in these situations as like adults and with like you're married and you have families and you're learning this stuff and you're doing this with your kids. And it's like, I don't know. This stuff is sad. It should have never happened this way. Should have never, ever happened this way for you. We see so much online. Just forgive your parents. They were doing their best. Like, you're going to notice that stuff come up too, probably. Those are thoughts. Just let them pass like clouds and come back to your body. Okay. Okay. I'm noticing this come up. Just be grateful. Just be grateful. That bullshit that should have never been said to you. The only correct thing in that moment for you that should have happened was your dad to be self-aware, or your mom to say, hey, honey, take a break. You cannot do this here. Take a break or get what you need. You're affecting everyone. And for them to have listened, and then for them to have come back and said, guys, I had a moment. It was about this and this. Like, honey, wife, husband, whatever, partner, come here, let's talk. Will y'all resume your dinner? What do you need from me? I'm sorry. And like again and again, not to say that will never happen again, right? But like we need the drama to end, to problem solving, and problem solving your emotions is your needs and your desires. That's what should have happened. And so here in this reparenting process from attachment to detachment, you're taking care of yourself here. You're not needing your dad to calm down or for repair from him even for you to be okay. Ideally, going from detachment, then from you're calm, you're regulated, you're either in a healthy place of anger because maybe your kids are there and that's not okay, or you're ready to speak up or something. And so maybe you can say a joke like, Dad, did you take your meds today? Or in your head, you can be like, this crazy old man. Like this crazy old man. I guess you really lose it when you get older. Or like lighten it up maybe in not a hostile way, because that sarcasm can come from hostility. And that can be unwanted behavior. Because if you want to be connected in that moment, because here's the deal, connection and all of this, name it to tame it, all of this is for you to come back to the present moment. The present moment is all that we have. The present moment is where unlimited possibilities are. It's a magical place to be. You guys will see this when I do calls live. Like this is therapy. This is the process. It is a magical fucking experience when you're so in the moment, in your body, and you're spiritually open. Whatever your religious beliefs, this isn't about that. This is about being open to the moment and something new. That's what connection is. Connection is, I'm going to be firm in taking care of my damn self emotionally and needs-wise and desires-wise. And I'm going to be so in the moment that maybe something from within me, like my intuition or like my spirit, will like say something new for me. Like whether it's funny, whether it's light, whether it's confrontational, but in a healthy way. Because if you can address things from this place. Attachment is either passivity or like crazy confrontation. But people don't understand that connection is about truth and boundaries. It's about, I'm actually going to say something because this is true. People are uncomfortable. Drama is making it about them. Drama is like being critical of your dad, only saying what's happening with him. Like, Dad, you're being crazy again. Bend and what problem-solving language is about, what language of vulnerability and problem-solving and connection is about, is one, behavior, two, emotions, needs, and desires. Dad, you're shutting down. I see your expression, right? Behavior is observable. It's not abstract or big picture. It's observable. Your behavior is doing this. I'm feeling really uncomfortable. I need space. What do you need? Connection is also curiosity from this firm place. Like, Dad, we're trying to have a good dinner. What do you need? If you're upset, we care about that. We care about that. We can't do this behavior. Can't do it. Love you, cannot do it. You guys know I'm so obsessed with getting on everybody that says, we can be mad, but we can't be mean. I hate that expression more than anything in the entire world. To kids, it is totally fair game to adults. And that's not gentle parenting. Your parents, which I do not believe in ever. Ever. You're not their therapist. You're not going back into this role here. You're not their parent. You can say, Dad, if you're going to do this, get out. If they're in your house, get out. Or pull them to the side in the kitchen and say, Dad, what is this behavior? Or whatever. But if that feels right to you, maybe you've been too confrontational in the moment and you need to take a breath, regulate, take some space, but not be passive. So many people do this. They grow up aggressive. I think of men in particular. They grow up super aggressive, super confrontational because maybe they were bigger than other guys or whatever. And then they, in the name of spirituality and peace, they become passive doorknobs. So that's not it either. That's and this matters, especially in the context of your wife's in-laws. If they're talking shit and your wife is your wife is upset and you don't do anything because you don't want to like upset or whatever excuse you tell yourself, like that is not okay. From a spirit, that's like a spiritual mistake for your wife's soul. Okay. That's a side note. But bottom line is that what is your attachment behavior? Basically behavior that you learned growing up, whether that's shutting down, whether that's defensiveness, whether that's being aggressive, whether that's being passive, whether that's being a rescuer, nurturing, overhelping, whatever. What is behavior you actually want? What do you know, and this is kind of the problem with a lot of people is they're like, I don't actually know how to be angry. Well, angry is being firm. Y'all see me do it online all the time. Sometimes, like, it's not even anger. It's just energy. It's just like, I'm not going to back down from things that are incorrect. Like, people coming after me for my tone. I am never, ever going to change my tone. That's anger, right? Like, that's firm boundaries. Like, no, absolutely not. You see me smiling. That's like a normal thing. For me, like very learned when you say something firm, like, let me smile. Let me like temper this a little bit for you to make it more palatable. No, I'm like resisting it now. For me, laughter is very much like a relief of tension. So it's, and so what are the behaviors you want to actually be like? And a lot of times you can intellectualize this shit. And again, that's taking you away from being present, which is what real connection is. This is what change in a relationship requires, is a commitment to the present moment at all costs. At all costs. You're connected when your dad can be angry and you're not so overwhelmed by fear. Because that's the thing of attachment. Attachment is defined by fear. And people think of fear as like, I'm not scared. I'm not like hiding in the corner. I'm not like screaming. Like we think of like Monsters, Inc. when we think about fear. And that's not what it is. Fear is very insidious. Think about a lot, like, I don't know. We'll talk animals, okay? Think about in the jungle where there's a deer standing there and a lion like comes around. The deer, there's fight, flight. So fight, are they going to fight the tiger or the lion? No, they're not going to do that. Are they going to flee? Maybe, depending on the distance or whatever, but probably not because those tigers and lions are fast. There's freeze and then there's fawn. Those are the two other ones. And this happens mainly in relationships. Freezing, or you're like masking. Freezing where you shut down, you don't know what to do, or fawning where you're like people pleaser, the most charismatic person, you're funny, you're like comic relief. Like that's a trauma response, sorry to tell you. Unless you're super present, you're super aware of your emotional experience, your needs, your desires, and you're just spiritually open to the universe and something else coming out in the moment. Like, you know what? A lot of times, I'll give you some language to help you with this because a lot of times in these moments, people are like, oh, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, that's a great thing to say. That's actually a great thing to say. I don't know what to say. And I'm like, or they'll say, the thought of that overwhelms me. Like my dad I get so uncomfortable. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. That's a perfect thing to say. Your emotional experience. I'm so overwhelmed right now. At the dinner, can you imagine that? If your dad is huffing and puffing, being like, oh, and you like start that would be so funny depending on your situation. You start crossing your arms and tapping. All right, I learned this on TikTok when I'm overwhelmed. I just start tapping my arms when I'm stressed. Dad, do you want to do this with me? Oh, it's just funny. Just like get something out where you're just naming your experience to tame it. You will notice. And if that doesn't do it for the relationally, you can still do it for yourself. And if you are going to feel shame, or if it's going to get more intense, like that's a time to remove yourself, or again, speak up. Because here's my theory. The more I think about this, the estrangement issue, like with estranged adult children in particular, and when we're dealing with emotional abuse, which is, just like you can't get through to somebody, you're so unseen, you're so neglected. It's like you're invisible, you're not there. The issue about emotional abuse is that you, as a result of it, you are defeated. Like distance is the only option because you are defeated. And that's what all of this is about, is like, fine, be defeated with your parents. Like if you are estranged from them, I'm sure there's so many, I've heard so many horror stories of just horrible things of no contact. And as you guys know, this emotional process is different than reconciliation. I just want, regardless of if you reconcile with them and you can feel secure and connected in yourself enough to be assertive with them, that you can learn all this shit for your own family and you can break the cycle. As far as reconciliation goes, I feel like that's like me talking to people in relationships, helping them figure out whether they should separate or divorce. Like, I don't know. That's kind of beyond my scope. It's more like, regardless, I want to help you emotionally heal. And yeah, of course, space, distance, separation, you need protection. You need safety to be able to do this. The thing is that you cannot get connected if you don't have personal boundaries and personal safety. What that looks like is a sense of self. That looks like this internal dialogue of reparenting where you're like, babe, it's okay. Like, and you're actually connected to that and you actually feel better. And you're actually like, what do I need? Do I need to go off right now? Like, cause maybe you do. And maybe that's new for you. You guys know I talk about finding your voice is like becoming an artist. And at first you just need to put paint on the page. At first, it's just getting it on the page. Princess Diaries, they're throwing darts at balloons full of paint. Fine. Who cares what it looks like? Who cares? We will figure out inside the lines later. The more that you do this, the more you will get better at it. With your parents especially, this reparenting process, if you want to speak up to them, you can do this a million times. If they don't give you forgiveness, you can still give it to yourself because you're learning and you should have gotten that this whole time, and you can try again. You can, because the reparenting process, real parents, real love for children is never ever saying you're too much, never ever saying I need permanent space. Somebody on the thing was like, I had to do no contact with my child. He's 30. I mean, that whole scenario, if you've seen it, I'm just like, why are we rebranding abandonment? That's what that is. You're abandoning. When a parent doesn't go no contact with their child, they abandon them. Yeah, they do. That's facts, okay? We're not going to rebrand this as like part of this. That's not it at all. How can a parent go up and complain about their child that they raised and then they're like a victim of it? That is absolutely untrue. And again, when we're watching this and we're seeing that, we can just be like, keep talking. Okay, that's your point of view. That's not the truth. And so that's not the truth. And the way that affects me and my family is like, you can stand up. That's not true. That's not true. Like for me, I'll never stop saying that because that is not true. That's not healthy. That's not conducive to the real balance of things, which is a parent parenting their child, and they are responsible for their mental health and their behavior. All of this stuff comes back to the parent. It's true. There was a thing I reposted on my Instagram today that was like some professional. She actually, I think, went on Joe Rogan or some big time person. She was like, when child's therapy, like a 10-year-old going into therapy alone is 100% ineffective because the issue is never just the kid. You want to fix something in the kid in therapy, fine. You want to teach them all of this stuff, fine. But when they go back to their home, like, first of all, they're not developed. So this is different if you're an adult watching this. Okay. And you have your own family and your own choices, because that's what you make when you're an adult, is choices. You do not have choices when you're a kid. And that's the issue. But good parenting does give you choice. But anyway, the video says like all parenting, like all a 10-year-old child's anxiety goes back to the parent. Whether the parent has anxiety and they don't model this stuff, how to release it, how to actually problem solve it, or their situations they're causing anxiety. This professional says it always goes back to parents. Family therapy is paramount when a kid has a mental health issue. And like, we as professionals know this. And for some reason, estranged parents in particular think that doesn't apply to them when it especially applies to them. I mean, personally for me, when I was in grad school, they ask you, what population are you thinking about treating? And I was like, or what population do you definitely want to treat, or do you definitely not want to treat? They kind of asked that in a funny way, knowing that maybe by the end of the program, you will end up working with the population that you don't want to treat. And so anyway, for me, I was like, I don't want to work with kids because that stuff is so heartbreaking. And I know the issue is the parents. When I worked at admissions at an addiction rehab for 3 years before this, that's what I learned. I talked to 30 plus people a day for 3 years. What is that? 300 days about, or 200 something. Fine. Over 3 years, times 30. How many days is that? Times 30, times 3 years. And I talked to the people struggling with addiction themselves, obviously a lot of the time, probably 30% of the time, but the other 70% was their family members. And like, as a shocker to no one, the dysfunction is everywhere. It's just true. It's true. And people that say otherwise are not informed, or they're in denial. In this video I reposted, the professional's talking to someone interviewing her. And the guy was like, as parents, that's obviously really hard to hear that they're the cause of their kids' anxiety. And for me as a parent myself of a baby, I'm like, that is the best news ever, because it's totally in my control. I can fix it. Why would you not look at it that way? Why would you not look at it that way? That is absurd. If these estranged parents were to say, this is the best news ever, that this is all my fault, because then I have complete control on what to do. I just think that's the best news. I have total ownership of this. Who doesn't want total ownership of something? That's actually the reason a lot of people became parents. And that's actually the reason a lot of them are in this place, is because they totally weaponized that power. And if you guys have heard me say, power feels like nothing. Power feels like nothing. And so that's why there's a lot of confusion, is people are like, you have all this power. Men are very confused because they're like, where is the power? I don't feel it. It doesn't energize me. I'm not doing anything with it. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And if in fact, I'm like totally unaware the opposite end of things about all of that. It's why like men don't know about patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like, men themselves don't know about that. And so it just goes to show, and it's like, yeah, that's what power is. Like, it's like an absence. Power is an absence of obstacles. It's ease. And that's why it's hard for people to grasp. It's also like, it's hard for people to grasp their gifts and what they're good at, their strengths, because they come easy. It comes easy to them. And so it's the same thing with power. And that's why it's like, but with this information, we know that we literally create our children's inner minds, inner selves. Their entire life is defined by their caregivers. And sure, this includes teachers and grandparents and like any other figures, like mentors in their lives. But like, who do they go home to? So anyway, to say, you need all of these tools to get to a place where you can come to the present. You can actually put the brakes on by saying, hold on. Okay, the number one, the like main two feelings you're probably feeling that we're learning to feel is fear and overwhelm. Okay. Okay. Let's tap a little bit. Let's breathe. We're imagining this internal dialogue as if we are our own inner parent, because that's who you're becoming. You're becoming the person your kid, inner child needed in that moment. Because when you go back into these memories, this is what we do with EMDR. We go back into these memories. You go back as the you that you are now. And you look at your younger self from like you're watching them on TV. It's like, when you're watching reality TV and you're like yelling, or like even a show, and you're yelling at the character to do something. That's what we're doing here. Except it's a gentle, nurturing thing. And okay, this is the last, we're going to tie this all in. You can learn and you can change without shame. You don't need shame to change. Meaning, I got a message. I'm going to read this actually. I got I think it was actually was it a DM? I don't know. I posted it on my story. It was a Facebook comment. I had talked about connecting with your kid before you correct them, and how their unwanted behavior is based in real emotions and needs. And if you address those things, then the behavior will go away effortlessly. And someone commented, okay, here it is. This is crazy, okay? I tried this correct thing today. My 11-year-old, her 11-year-old had forgotten an assignment was due and was all whiny about it. Instead of saying, I can't believe you forgot that, and shaming them, okay? So how could you do that? That's so crazy. And you're asking questions that aren't questions, you're shaming them, okay? Instead of saying, I can't believe you forgot, blah, blah, I tried to understand the why. He was having trouble inserting a link on a Google document. We tried some troubleshooting, got it sorted, and it was an easy fix. He came to me really upset, and previously this would have escalated, but by finding out the need / the why, we were good. I only happened on your page a few days ago, and honestly, connect before correct blows my mind. Okay? So in my head, I'm like, yeah, that blows people's minds because people don't think that you can learn without being shamed. And that's mind blowing. You can say gently to your inner child, sweetheart, it's okay. Let's meet this overwhelm. Yeah, let's feel it. Tell me about it. What else are you overwhelmed by? We're naming it to taming it in real time. We're saying what else? Because a lot of times this unwanted behavior is not one thing. We're looking at, I have a 17-month-old who's throwing tantrums over one thing she didn't get. No, it's a buildup of all these other things that she's experiencing. And maybe that's the straw. But you're naming all of it to tame it. You're saying, what else? Tell me about it. That's what you're doing in the face of unwanted behavior. You're being curious about it. You're being compassionate about it. You're assuming it's coming from a good place, aka overwhelm and unmet needs, and that you really actually want to do it well. The mom going into this situation, do you just think an 11-year-old just doesn't care and they just don't want to do well in school? No, that's not true. That's never been true. In fact, it's on the extreme end of this. I did some work for a nonprofit in Nashville, Tennessee when I lived there for a literacy nonprofit. Guess what? They could trace behavior issues in a classroom to kids that struggle with literacy, that can't fucking read. Doesn't that just bring you to your knees? How much we have been misunderstanding kids for all this time. And you misunderstanding yourself all this time. That your unwanted behavior actually does come from a good place. And so you're sitting with yourself and you're saying, okay, you're overwhelmed. Tell me about it. Okay, tell me about it. That makes sense. Tell me about it. That makes sense. That's the cycle. Naming it to taming it. Tell me about it. That makes sense. What else? Tell me about it. That makes sense. Yeah. So that's what you're doing. And then you're saying, okay, what do you need in that moment? What do you need? Let's get it for you. We can get it for you because I know you want to be good at school. Like, I know you want to be good. And this 11-year-old couldn't figure something out and he didn't know how to ask for help. And I get he didn't know how to ask for help because his parents don't model it. And they don't have emotions palooza where they're modeling this all the time. And they're saying, oh, I've had a long day. I'm overwhelmed. I need to make a hate list right now. I need to write down everything that's bothering me so I can figure out what I need. Oh, you want to watch me do it? Okay, let's do it. So you can learn without shame. I know that's going to blow your mind. But you actually can. There's actually never a need for it. Never a need for shame. It's a natural thing when you do something outside of your values, or guess what? When you were shamed to all hell, to smithereens when you grew up, it's going to be a normal thing. When you feel shame, which is inevitable, it can feel like a hot blanket that can feel, you can feel embarrassed. Let's make it relational. Okay. Because I feel shame can be empowering, but it can also be like, I feel embarrassed because I'm being shamed. Or I was shamed a lot. I was humiliated a lot. This stuff is so fucking sad. And this is how we treat kids. This is how we treat ourselves. And this is how we treat our partners. And this all fucked up thing of shame gets passed down, but no more. Okay? And so think about this 11-year-old kid and this mom who's changing everything. By the way, repair, for parents that always ask me, I've done this my whole life, just change it now. No apologies, or make it a quick apology. Do not make it a confession as if your child is a Catholic priest, okay? They don't care. You're going to burden them with it. Apologize quickly. I haven't done this with you before, and I'm really sorry, and I'm doing it now. You're upset. Tell me about it. I care so much, and all I want to know right now is what's going on inside your head. And I'm going to sit with you no matter what. And I'm not going to abandon you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to correct you even. Because listen to her, this mom, the kid was being whiny, this unwanted behavior, but it's based on a need, and that he doesn't even know how to communicate it. That's really what's it. So when that happens, there's no need to even talk about the behavior because it's going to extinguish, because it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't have a function anymore because the kid is learning to communicate. Okay. What I'll actually finish on is I was, visiting family this past week, and I was on a flight and home, and it was our last flight back here. We took 3, and we were on the flight home, and this little sweetheart 2.5-year-old behind us was so upset the whole time. He was quiet for an hour through the flight, but at the beginning and at the end, he was like, Mom, I want to get off. Mom, I want to get out. And he just kept saying that over and over. And the mom kept saying, I know, we're getting off soon. I know we've had a long, everybody else at this point, knows you want to get off too, trying to be humorous. The mom the entire time was clearly I was like, this woman is the most patient woman in the world. She's not raised her voice. She's not done anything. And she wasn't going into his emotional experience though. She wasn't though. She was like, sweetheart, I see you're overwhelmed. I see you really want to get off. Tell me more about it. What do you want to do when we get off? Is it because you're tired? Come here, sweetheart. You know what we do when we're overwhelmed. We hug, we tap. What do you need? And I know it's a 2.5-year-old. I get that. And hey, this may not have worked. I don't know. I really doubt it. But I think more likely than not, this would have totally worked. And I didn't know my place in that moment to intervene or not, because I really wanted to get out of my chair. My daughter was sleeping on me the whole flight, but I wanted to get out of my chair and say, lady, let me take over for a second. I got this. And let me help see through the behavior, not address what he's saying logically, but get to the underbelly of it and nurture it and parent it and build that. And maybe he wouldn't have stopped whining, but I bet that was because if that was the case, it would have been because that was the first time it happened, this emotion regulation and the mom intervening in this way. But I bet that his body would have gotten some relief, that he would have felt connected to his mom, that he, for the moment at least, would have felt some repair and some connection. Because the mom when she could have been like, oh, I want to get off the flight too. What should we do? She gets down on his level emotionally, like empathizes with it, sees things from his point of view, gets in his world, gets in his experience emotionally. Okay. This keyword, using emotion language. Emotions, needs, desires. I hear you want to get out, babe. Oh, I'm with you. I am with you. What do you like? Tell me more about it. What do you want to get off and do? Yeah. That sounds so fun. I know you love to do that. What else? Curiosity. When you are walking through the woods hand in hand with your child into their world, you're going to see so much you didn't know. And you're back in the present. And that's where we're all supposed to be. That's where opportunities are anew, a million possibilities. Being surprised is so fun. I think that's like the most fun about parenting, is just being surprised by your kid when you're just open and you're like loving them and you're just so like, God, this is such an amazing thing. Like, gratitude is authentic when you're in the moment. You're not faking a fucking gratitude list. You're not faking it because you actually feel it, because you're in the moment, because you know how to emotionally regulate. You know what you need. You know how to say what you need. You know how to get what you need. And you're secure and you're relieved. So you can do this without shame. Parenting can be done without shame. The last thing I'll say is, this parent commented and was like, so let me guess, let me get this straight. You're saying I can't ever give a disapproving look to my child? I'm like, what is wrong with you? And again, that's shame. That's like, I want to just extinguish what this person is saying. I get the need to do it. I get the need of like control and dominance when something is so like challenging. And the thing, when I sat with it, I was like, man, this person, I wonder if one of their core beliefs is that kids have to have shame to learn, because that's what they're going to feel when you give them a disapproving look, is shame. I really like, for a reference, if you have younger kids, Brat Busters. She ironically doesn't think kids are brats. She puts all the emphasis on parents, and she gets really a lot more specific about this stuff with younger kids. So if you need more help there, she talks about that, but she talks a lot about how you want to make kids feel good about themselves and build their self-esteem. Shame doesn't do that. Sharing your feelings with kids doesn't do that. And so that's a resource. Brat Busters Parenting, I think, is her handle on Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, you guys, get some relief from this break. Make a hate list. Make a just list of everything bothering you from a non-judge. Like, imagine it's your inner child and you're the parent being like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, what else? What else? Tell me more. That makes sense. Tell me more. That makes sense. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. That's just such a good thing. Like, that's a default word. Oh. Y'all are so sweet. You're so sweet. Because it's true. So this was really fun today, you guys. We're going to keep it up. You're doing great. Day by day. Be in the moment. Learn all this stuff. Master this stuff. Stay studious. Stay a student of your life, a student of yourself, a student of your kids. See you next week. I love stay studious, don't you?